Okay. Let's just check. We are in live or not. Okay. Mm, you know what? It seems like we are in live stream, but okay. Let's just check that here. Yeah, we are live. Let's just stop this. And yeah, so I think we are good to go. Okay. Mm, do we need to change anything? Okay, I think we are good to go. So the thing is, wait a minute. Maybe I can close all of these. Let's just. Mm, yeah, it seems like we are using our core. Let's put it here. Yeah, we are. I don't know where is. I don't know why this. No, you can see that here. You know. I can see some certain peaks here. You know, Suddenly all of my cores are fully utilized. I don't know why exactly. This is also a problem. Let's play in. Let's take a lot of RAM. We don't need that. Mm, okay, let's just cancel them all because they are really taking some amount of RAM. Okay. Yeah, here you can see that, right? There is a certain peak. There we are. You can see that clearly, right? I don't know why, but exactly I don't know why. Maybe it's because my mic when I speak it hit that roof. I just leave it as it is. So the thing I'm wanna do is that this okay. So the thing is, what we are in this live, what we are gonna do is that we are gonna learn C++ as much as possible. Like what I mean by that is basically learn the C++ with very minimal amount of time, cover as much as possible, cover as much as possible concepts in C++, right? C++ is really I don't know, one of the toughest language, I would say. Not only me, everybody considers this language as a toughest thing because you know it's kind of a weird language actually. So let's just actually no vi wait, now we get. So is anybody watching our live? Why I cannot see the views here? Hmm? Chat. Okay, it's a live chat. So the thing is, so C++ is a weird language, but it's a powerful language, I'd say. Mm, yeah, it's a weird language, but there is lots of, you know, huge amounts of concepts in C++, like lots of versions, and they have new kind of features. Every version have their own kind of features, and which is useful, which is helpful for modern systems. But at the same time, if you are doing stuff with the old C++, you also need to know both modern feature and old feature. What I mean by that is basically what I'm trying to say is, you know C++, there is so many ways we can do a single thing in C++, right? So that's what I'm saying, trying to say. C++ is not like yeah, every programming language have this calls in it, but actually C++ have a bit more than natural. So that's one of the thing. So, but you still need to learn. Of course, if you're into really low level kind of thing, like a low level programming or sort of like that, I would say you need to learn C++. It's a really great language, but you know, it's not very beginner friendly, or yeah, it take much longer than, like, if you're learning Python, you can learn very easily, but if you're into C++, it's much bit harder than Python. So C++ is object oriented programming. As you know, it's OOPS object oriented programming, and it's not a functional language. It's you know um, and it's not it doesn't have a dynamic type system in it. It's a static type language. um, there is a lot of features in C++. You can use to make a dynamic thing in C++. So you can see that, you know I'm creating some kind of template, and it's a type name. Each kind of a type, and T is a type name, whereas basically a dynamic type. It can be anything. It can be integer, float, or string, whatever. You need to just pass this when you are calling the function. That's it, and you are using here. Okay, so it's really a good language. So I like to demonstrate something like, you know let's just start with very not very simple features, but focus on more like advanced features. Okay. So command is allowed. We don't need them right now. And okay, here we go. So the thing is, here I just create some program. It's, whenever I'm trying to learn a new language, I basically trying to study this way, which is that I'm go to any sort of AI, LLM, asking 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 to generate some some simple program that involves every feature, at least almost 90 at least 80% of the features in the language. Just involve them in a single program. Like, here we have some kind of a program, right? Here we have, let's just I don't know what this program is actually doing, but what I want to know, what I if I am learning new language, what I want to know is basically, first I need to get the full understanding of a language features and quirks in it. Okay, that's how you really get good at any sort of thing, right? First thing, you need to understand how this works. Okay, so that's how I learn. I'm not just you know just take a download some kind of a book, free resources in online, some kind of a textbook or something like that. So it's not a textbook, it's a book about C++ or something like that, or blogs are really good at learning C++ or any sort of thing, I would say, because you know some people prefer reading, but for me it's a bit different. So that's That's another thing, which is that so that's it. Basically first I will generate some code, some simple program that involves all the features that the language have. Okay, then I just type them like this. No? Okay, type them like this. Blah blah blah. I just we have we are including some module here. Memory. What is memory? I don't know. Still now, you know I am not expert at C++. Now what I'm doing is just learning with you guys. So that's literally what I'm doing. Okay. So but I think this is useful thing to share, which is that a lot of people are struggle with where to start. Not a lot of people, but most people struggle with this. If you are learning something new, one of the hardest thing to figure out is where to start, where you need to start. If you're learning some kind of sports or something like that, it's a different thing. You know where to start most of the time. But if you're when it's come to studying materials, when it's come to something with the mind, do with the mind, it's really hard to find out exactly where to start. So that's why I'm sharing this, because for a lot of the time I have this habit of like, you know okay, I'm code a bit, I understand the language a bit, and then I give up. It's I don't understand. For a long time I don't understand why am I doing this, because i'm I'm getting very frustrated and stressed about the language. Like, I don't know, there is so much thing to learn itself. If you are getting to C++, there is so many things you can learn about C++, but you don't know where to start. If you want to learn C++, there is it's huge amount of things you can huge amount of starting points that you can basically start them and go through the tree bit by bit. That's how uh, basically you can do any sort of thing, right? Any sort of learn any sort of language. That's kind of not working for me actually, because it's not a good thing to do like that, because for me at least, distracted environment is a bit harder. you know if today I'm deciding I want to learn C++, right? If I decide that I'm gonna learn that, if I don't know where I need to start, where I need to go, it's it's 2x harder than, if you're it's 2x more harder than when you know where to go and where to start. Okay. So you can basically, you can see that if you work on something like a large code base, it's really very frustrating and stressful, because you don't know where to start. If you especially if you don't have a good documentation on the code, on the documentation about the code base, or any sort of new thing, it's always it's going to be less information about that. Then you are basically, you know have a huge amount of stress. It's because this reason, that is, it's a very distracted environment. So it's really hard for you, not only for you, for me, at least for me, make a progress in it. But if I know something about the code base, or at least if I know where to start, then it would be much easier. And not only easier, it makes things enjoyable. That's what I'm getting at. It's not, still you are going to work on a large code base, right? Yeah, but it gives us some sort of a thing where you can enjoy what you're doing, right? So long story short, if I'm going to learn something, I do some this kind of tricks, like generate a simple ask AI, generate a simple program that includes all, not all, but most of the features in the program itself. Okay, then what you're gonna do is just type like this. Okay, you involved. Okay, here we have involved a bunch of modules. I don't know exactly what these are doing. Uh, we don't need to for now. So let's just type this, and okay. So that is the one another thing I want to mention here is that you need to be very careful when you are a beginner. So if you are doing this kind of if you are learning this way, what I'm just described, if you are a beginner, it's going to be so much harder for you. Okay, so if you are a beginner, you need to start from complete scratch. Okay, you need to first need to know how to write a simple program like a Fibonacci series or any sort of thing, like at least for a hello world program, right? Print hello. Then you need to step by step increase the complexity of the program. Then you understand the course of the programming language. Then you become some more good at it. Okay, but if you learn before if you learn before any language, any sort of language, some some language before, and you need to master something, some other language pretty fast. I think this is for me at least, this is a good way to do it. Okay, so what I'm doing is just trying to get some feeling of writing the program. Okay, because I right now I'm just seeing what it is and writing it. So it seems like very simple job, right? Because I don't actually learning here because he does not learn, but I basically what I'm generating is generating some momentum, I would say. Okay, so especially these kind of language like C, Rust, C plus C is some language, C plus plus, Rust, um, less. I don't know. I never done any sort of list, but I write some amount of Rust. I wrote some amount of Rust, and now I'm trying to learn C plus plus. And obviously, it's really hard if you are came from a Python sort of a background, Python language, or Ruby. Those are very simple language. Okay, but these language are not like that. So this is okay. So what I'm doing is just generate some movement for it. I'm not learning anything here. Just get some movement. That's what I'm literally what I'm doing here. uh, so then what we are gonna do is just write all the code here. Okay, so okay, I don't know, still I don't know what all of this doing, but I'm kind of getting this feeling of writing something at least. Okay. Okay, what it is, I don't know what it is. What this virtual do, I don't know. What this public, protected. I don't know. And what this? I don't know. Now, after you write this, okay, after we write some code a bit, after we write the actual program, then what we can do is that ask the AI to basically explain the code. Okay, not in a way like, hey, just explain me what you are doing here. So I would say you shouldn't do like that. Instead, ask AI to basically ask LLM to basically um, what are the concepts you covered in the single program and explain the concepts. Okay, so you don't need to if you're already familiar with other sort of programming language, you don't need to know what is class, what is programming. If you're if you're already familiar with object oriented programming, right? You don't need to do that because you know what is object and what is the classes. But all you need to know is how you need to define those ideas in this program, right? There is a syntax difference in it and lot of things, right? That's one thing. And the second thing is some of the features are specifically to language itself, right? Some features like a pointers, pointers, smart pointers are only available in C++, not in Python or something like that. Higher level language don't have some sort of thing, right? So the if you are come from Python sort of a thing, pointers, it's very unlikely to have this idea of what is pointer, like a deep knowledge of pointer, what pointer is. So you are basically get into trouble. Mm, it's not trouble. It's harmful. Okay, if you have if you came from Python background, because you don't know what the pointer is, and if you are looking at the pointer and you are basically like, what the hell is that? So okay, at the time you don't understand anything. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? At least you can what you're gonna do, just ask AI to explain. Don't explain the concepts like if I know about classes and objects, don't explain what the classes and object is. Just explain how we can create, declare a class, define class, and create an object for it, and how we can how we can call constructor in it, how we can call destructor in it, how we can create abstract classes in it, how we can basically inherit a class, all sort of stuff, right? So that's when you get into that, you are now basically in a spot where you know what's the problem you're working on and you know exactly what to do next. Okay, that's what it is. That's what I'm trying to say. If you are learning any sort of thing, any sort of things means any sort of languages, programming languages. I don't know, maybe this thing also apply to other sort of things, like other sort of learning things. So so if you're learning something and you know exactly what to learn and what is the next move to take, you would be in a much better position to master that thing. Not only master, it's in extreme in an extreme case you can master it, but in a normal case, average case, at least you can get a deep understanding of what you're learning. At least you learn something. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If you struggle to learn any sort of thing, it's not that you don't have a ability to do it, but it's because you are not seeing the problem in a right way. At least that's how I see it. Because if you know what to take next move, and if you know where to go, and if you know where to start, that's it. That's the all the thing you need to know. You need to learn something, right? If you learn to, if you want to learn cycling, what do you want? You need a cycle first of all. Then you need to learn to ride that. Then what? You need to go somewhere and with the cycle. That's it. You are doing it again and again, and you are good at it, right? That's how it is as well, right? If you want to learn C++, first you need to learn. First you want to know where to start, and then every step you need to know next what I have to next what I want to do. Then you need to know the direction what you're going, right? If you're learning C++, you cannot blindly learn all sort of things about C++. You cannot do that, because C++ or any sort of programming language nowadays, it's a huge. It takes year to master actually. But you can, you know, you can pretty good at something very much easy instead of mastering. What I'm saying is, the other day I just watching this podcast from Lex Friedman. So if you know DHH, who's Ruby on Rails, creator of Ruby on Rails. He's the one created that framework. Basically, I don't know. I just forgot his full name, but his short name is if you his Twitter account name is DHH or something like that. So he's a good person, and he created a framework that's I think it's really old. It's somewhere in 2000s. Okay, so he created that, and and the thing is, so he said that. So what he said that is, you can get, you can basically get a place in some amount. If you want to learn something, if you want to learn C++, you can get easily the 90 percentage of the good program, I would say. You can get easily to 90 percentage, right? What I mean by this, if we are measuring your if you are measuring how good you are in C++, it's a 0 to 100 percentage, and you can easily get up to 95%. Okay, you're really good at C++. 95 percentage. It's not I'm saying as you it's kind of like that. It's not exactly the feature itself, language itself, what you're learning. Instead, it's comparing people, right? If you want to become a good programmer, you can get easily 90 percentage about them. 95 percentage you can get into that category, where you are basically in the 95 percentage, or 96 or 97. But if you want to become someone which is better than 99.9 programmer out there in the world, it's really, really, really very hard. It's nearly, not nearly, it's possible, but it's kind of like if you think about this way, it's kind of like impossible. That's what I'm getting at. So what I'm getting at is, you by separating every problems, okay, you can pretty much easily get into those 95 percentage category. Okay. So it's not 95 percentage. I'm basically saying this wrong. It's a 5 percentage category, top 5 percentage. That's how I should say it. You can basically get into those top 5 percentage category, right? You can really if you try it, you can do that. The way you can do that is by this: identify the problem. That where you need to identify the problem is what you want to learn, right? What is the problem? I want to learn C++. That's one. Where to start, and what is the next move, and where to go. Okay. So we are basically deliberately splitting our problem into smaller pieces so we can handle it. So what we are doing is, okay, so we are writing this, and there is this simple methods. What I'm doing is, these simple methods make this simple commands this LLM gave me. It's really easy to understand what it is. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, now all I need to know is, okay, let's just write this doable area. Okay, constant equal to 0, and virtual void print details std. Okay, I wrote this. Then there is this new keyword called friend. I don't know what it is, but let's just write. Okay, we miss something. std. So a stream dot os dot cons dot shape or something like that. Shape. Yeah. What do you have here? You don't need to run this program because you are not doing any sort of thing. You're just getting familiar with what are these things. At least we have some amount of familiarity by this writing this. If you one of the things about writing or typing any sort of thing, which is not any sort of thing, writing and typing, which are the most thing we are doing whenever we study. So those things actually help me to get this muscle memory of some. If I write class and protected and public, I don't know what it is still, but I now I getting some kind of a familiarity with it, right? So there is a protector and there is a public. Oh, these are the two different concepts that exists in this program. Okay, so now what we can do is just copy this program, and if I copy this, let's just ask Gemini or any sort of LLM you prefer. It's your preference. Ask ask them to explain not the program but the feature it has. Okay, so that's you can basically do, and then And then what you're gonna do, and then you need to read the next what you need to read that, right? Then we can read that and understand what it is. Okay. So now what I'm saying is, now we are covering 2% of the concepts in C++. We just covered that. Okay. What it is, we just covered how to create class, then what is protected, then what is public and protected, the difference between them, then what how to call this, how we can define a constructor in C++, and the destructor, what is virtual, and what is friend, and what the heck it is. Okay. And what is this operator, and where what is these symbols, and etc etc. Now at least you can have some idea about it. Okay, it's now it's pretty easy. We you just covered the 2% of the language features. Guess what? It's pretty easy, right? That's it. Now we got 2%. Once you understand, you can move to next. That's it. That's how you can easily learn. Okay. So once you understand this, you can move to next program. Here we have another section, and which is about inheritance and derivative classes and inheritance from the place classes or something like that. This override concept. You know, remember these strategies are only work for individuals who already know something about the field itself. Okay, if you already learn the programming, like any sort of programming language before, it's very much easy for you. But if you don't know, if you're a complete beginner, you don't know any sort of language before, I would say you should need to learn step by step. That's how uh, you can do. If you want to get those 5% category, get into the 5%. If you want to get into the 0.1, it's very hard, and you almost all the times you need to go all in. That's how I say it. Okay, this is one of the another thing from Lex Frieden podcast. He said he said that Lex itself said that Lex himself said that sorry, I just called him itself, sorry, himself. So Lex himself said that something, most of the time people don't appreciate what they are done to get something, and then somebody asks them to how you done that, and they would give something which is very easy and appreciable. This is most people do that. What I mean by this, if you ask some C++ expert or something like that, they are in this category 0.01% or something like that. They actually, to get the place where they are now, you need to something do different, which is the 99.9% of the people are not doing. Okay, so if they are building step by step concept, and then go like study a specific amount of time and specific concept, and then that, you can do that. If you're doing, of course you can get that, but it takes so much time to reach that. But if you want to achieve that thing soon as possible and faster, you need to get into basically different type, like different method to do same sort of thing, right? You cannot basically say I want to learn some, I want to master C++, and I'm learning C++ for every single day for 1 hour, and hoping to master it in 1 year. It's not gonna happen, right? I can pretty easily get into those 95 for top 5, at least top 10% of the C++ program if I do that correctly. in a right way and do it constantly, I make it that. But if I want to get into 0.0 percentage or something like that, I need to know something which is different. I need to do something which is basically different from rest of the other programs what they are doing. So you need to get into online. Online means basically you need to 100% spend all of your time understand the language. That's the guarantee way. But as long as your target is that far, nothing to worry. Okay, that's now we learn something, right? Which is now we'll at least learn some sort of thing. What we learn? We learned how to create class, how to declare class, how to define class, and how to write a constructor, destructor. This sort of, right? So if you look at our live stream headline, you know, the title, it's something like a speedrun or something like that. C plus plus speedrun. But what I'm saying is what what I'm doing is giving advice to learn C plus plus. It's kind of a funny, right? So that's it. That's how you can learn. So why am I doing this? Because I just basically not I just basically not want you to just watch it off the stream and trying to understand what I'm saying. Instead, you can just understand the formula, the method, what I'm doing, how I'm doing things and stuff. Then you can apply. If you find it useful, you can apply. If you don't find it useful, appreciable, no problem. Find another way to do that. Okay, because there is no single size for every person in the world. Everybody is different, right? Somebody prefer this way, somebody prefer that way, somebody prefer a third method or any sort of method. The peoples are different, so there is no single formula for everyone, right? So it's up to you. If you find it useful, okay, that's good. If you not find it useful, no problem. That's also good because at least you know that this method is not working for me, so I can move to the next. Okay, and what you're doing here, you need to do that. So this is constructor, which is going to be take a double type and the variables are, and we are basically setting that are to this radius variable, and which is private. You understand? That's it. And then this code will be whatever you put some kind of code into this parenthesis block, it's gonna work. It's gonna run whenever you call the constructor. Okay, that's it. And so this is a destructor. When you delete an object, it's gonna run. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure, but whether if it does run exactly when you goes out of scope, I'm not sure, but I'll just try this. Hmm, maybe we can try. Let's just call print destructor Okay, and it's gonna take some. Let's just like a cycle dot c, and then what we have next one. All we need to create some all we need to do is create create okay, we don't need to take any sort of circle. See, and just give it the 25. Okay, now we create that. That here. Don't need that. I don't know who is calling me. But some person is calling me actually. Just wait a minute for a single minute. Okay, I don't want to get into that right now. But just okay. What I'm gonna do is so okay. So that's it. So where you know? So I just created something here. Okay. So it is abstract class. So what did it say? It's an abstract class, but it's not abstract class. Maybe we don't want to inherit that because I think shape is an abstract class. How do you define abstract class? Is because you are using this virtual thing, right? You can rewrite them in the class which inherit the abstract class. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's it. So now we have something like this, and we are creating this, and let's just call this in a main function, and all we need to do is to call this destructor. Okay. uh, so now what I'm just expecting, okay. So whenever the destroy, whenever, okay, let's just delete all of this. Okay, let's just command this all of this out because it's gonna compile. So do we have all of this? We don't need this. All we need to do is we need this. So maybe we can run. Wait a minute. Maybe we can run this by okay. Clear this out. Hmm. So how to run the C++ program? I just basically forgot. So I think I have something like yeah, it's something like this. In C++ and main dot cpp dot out dot my. Yeah. So what is the problem? The problem is oh wait, now it will work. Okay. So all we need to do is my yeah. Here it's a very simple concept, right? Destructor is basically whenever the you delete the object, it's gonna run. Okay. So what you're doing is so we are calling this function called destructor, which is created the object which is created the object for creating the object for the circle class. Then once this line executed, it goes out of the scope. The object itself is basically destroyed, deleted in the memory, right? So that's how that's what, right? So that's what the destructor is. Okay. So now let's back to the track, which is that what we are doing is so we are having this this you know this class. Okay, well, what the class? What is this? Okay, for this we need to do this, and okay, we don't. That's it. So this is abstract class, and it have virtual methods, which is basically some kind of okay. I'm creating some abstract class. What I'm basically doing is I'm not basically yeah, whenever it's abstract class is basically used for enforce the programmer or any sort of enforce the coder to use the pattern whenever he inherit that class. Okay, so abstract class is basically you can override those methods and enforce you to basically have this idea of um following pattern. So what I mean by that is here we have some sort of a thing, right? Which is we have a virtual dot double, virtual dot area, and virtual dot print detail. And if you're inheriting this class, which is abstract class, and you can inherit this class for a normal class, and that normal class can override these methods anyway you want, or or what you can do is leave it as them, leave it as it is if you want, and you can call these methods with this object for a class. Okay, that's what narrator is actually, right? So that's what you're doing. So it's kind of like a template sort of a thing where not exactly it's kind of like a interface where you are basically specific basically some specifies the model of the class, architecture of the class, if you will. That's how I think that's what abstract class is for. There is so many use cases for abstract class, but at least this is one of them. And so here you can see that we just do something like this: shape and circle. Okay. So what is the shape? Is basically calling calling. You are basically sending attribute attributes to this class. Okay, shape take this, shape take some string and put it into name. Okay, and you can what you can do is basically here you can see that we are basically, you know, here we have a nice command which explains what you are doing. Implementation of the pure virtual functions from shape. Wait a minute. Okay, and double dot area, and we are creating that, and constant for I. Okay, return that mpi, so it's mpi star radius or radius. Okay, that's fine, right? Then what? Void dot print details. Okay, the const at war, right? Okay, void. Then what I'm doing is just basically overwrite the methods. So here the interesting thing what you're doing is basically call the methods. So call the base class and std. I don't know. This is how we are doing abstract class in C++. I'm not sure. If you're into Python, you basically call this module called ABC, and and basically inherit the class you want to make it as abstract class, right? But okay, at least now what you are doing is rewriting methods. Okay, so now as you see what I'm basically trying to do here is kind of this familiarity, right? When you need to get familiar with what you're doing, so there is a difference between familiar and learning, right? you, Familiar is basically sort of saying that you are familiar with the stuff. I know it's not I know the stuff. It's kind of like a bit like I know the stuff. Okay, I know these things are exist. Okay, these things are exist. But learning is kind of like a understand. You know why and how and when and you know the things about things, like that all. So familiarity, that's what you're getting here, right? We are not actually learning every sort of information about a single thing. Instead, we are getting familiar with it. Okay, oh, okay, I can understand what's going here, but even though exactly what are all the things I are doing here, but I can assume I can understand some of them. So what you're trying. That's what you're doing here. Okay, so then so that's it. And okay, so now we just saw how we can rewrite it. Okay, rewrite the methods. So okay, and where is the abstract thing? I want to know the abstract class. Did you include it? Did you include it? No. Okay, not a problem. I think that's how we can do that. Basically, let's just maybe we can just try that by doing this shape dot s. So it's going to be lat triangle. In what is the problem? Now you can see it says this is the abstract class. Okay, okay. How it is abstract class? Because it have this virtual methods. Is it or virtual operator is crucial for base class? Okay, okay. Here we are. So pure virtual functions make this an abstract base class. Okay, that's what you're saying. So if you are implemented virtual thing in some class, it becomes abstract class. That's what they are saying, but I'm not sure. So now you can see that every sort of stuff you are basically not sure about anything because you are learning. Okay, I'm not myself is not an expert in C++. I'm just learning with you guys. That's what I'm doing. But what I'm doing is exactly give some tips and give some method to how we can tackle this problem easily, right? Because C++ is not a simple thing. You cannot understand everything about C++ in a single day or a week or a month. I would say you need some amount of experience if you really good at want if you want to really good at this language. Okay, so that said, let's get into the next part. Next part, what is that class? We are creating another class called rectangle and put it in a book. So it's basically inherit that class. Okay, so here you can see that here you can basically see that which is every single class. Okay, every single class in inheriting this shape class. So the shape is a abstract class. So what you're trying to do is basically enforcing some kind of enforcing to this rectangle class to basically implement these methods. Do you understand what I mean? Just let me show. So we are creating some variable. Okay, height and public, and we are doing a rectangle. Oh my god, why am I doing so? And Let's just do the same thing. It's rectangle. Okay. Mm, W and what? Maybe it's not maybe. It is height and height. Okay, and that's it, right? So it should be and like this, and then it's a destructor, and this destructor. Okay, this destructor is not. It's specifically to rectangle. Okay, but if you are not defining this, I think it would be you know, you if you are not designing this, you'll be basically use the destructor from the abstract class. Okay, and override. Okay. So what is the constant? Constant is basically we are declaring the method as a constant. There is, that's why C++ is bit weird because there is so many concepts in it. So the const method is basically what you are doing is, what is the difference between normal method and const method? Whenever you create a constant object of this class, you can edit the property of the constant object using constant method, not a normal method, right? You cannot do that with normal method, but with the constant method you can do that. You can basically change the property of the object using constant. If you want to understand what I just said, let me show something. Okay, okay, let's just this here. We don't need this. So what you're gonna do is a um, rectangle, and or and just this 10 comma 10. So 10 comma 10 is not a rectangle. Just 20. Okay. Now I just basically forgot what I about to say. Okay. Yeah. Now I understand. So this const. So before that, const, you can do something like this, and let's just say. So now it's a problem. Maybe we can declare another thing like you know like just change object. Let's just call that way, and what you are basically doing here is call this object, and it's gonna take some integer I and set the value to both set the value to both equal to I. I'm not sure. Basically, no idea what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but I don't have any idea how to do it. It's like this is the right way to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe. So let's just create another method, another normal method, which is not constant. Let's just call it a R1, and let's just give him name um, 19 comma 20 28. And okay, so let's just copy the same method and put it here, and one change this and declare it as a constant. Okay, not a normal method, it's a constant method. And cannot assign to non-static. Non-static data. Okay, understand. So if it is a constant, then it should be available in memory as long as the main function executes, right? So non-static data basically mean that it is not in a static memory. If it is a static, it's gonna be live as long as the main executes. So let's just run this and see what see the error. Okay, let's just call them. Okay, so change. Wait a minute. Okay, object. Oh, it's not change object. Okay, so how we can? Okay, let's just ask in C plus plus how we can access the property of object. Do like self or something in Python. So hmm, this 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 is basically representing the object we are calling. So we don't need a normal object here. All we need. Oh my. So that's the problem, right? So what is saying? So this argument to member function has a type const rectangle. So but function is marked what? Function is marked okay, or you cannot assign to the data non-static data member within constant member function. So here you can see that it's basically because you can change this. Okay, you can change the constant object property of the constant object using constant method. For normal method, you cannot do that. And that's what you're seeing. Maybe I can run this, but I'm not sure. We have a lot of errors. Okay, we don't need that. So read only object. Just a const object. Const object is a read only object. Void rectangle. Let's just ask GPT to put this one. We don't need this function. What is what is the problem? Yeah. Oh my god. I screwed a bit. Which is that I'm basically told you a very wrong thing. So what is that is it's a const is basically means this functions promises not to modify the object's member. So whenever declare a constant method, it's basically saying that oh hey I'm not gonna modify your property. So you don't need to worry. Or but let's just do that. But still it's not gonna work because we are basically modifying the modifying the const object. That's not gonna work. If it is a normal one, and it's gonna work. See the the indication is basically goes. But if it is a constant, it's not gonna work. But so the thing is, if you want to modify the constant modify the properties of a constant object, you need to set it as a mutable properties like this. Okay, that's how you can do that. So this is guys, this is how you basically learn something. I hope you have some of. I think the problem is I need to go now. Okay, so this is how you at least at least I hope you have at least it helped you a bit. Like at least you have some idea about how we can learn hard stuff, right? So if you like these sort of videos, okay. So what I'm basically saying is, if you like the videos, if you like the live, consider subscribing. Subscribe, subscribing. It's really hard to pronounce the word for me. Subscribing, subscribe. Okay, consider subscribe. Okay, if you like the live stream, consider subscribe, like, share, anything you want, and have a good day. See you in another live. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try the theme of Primogen. Whenever he ends his stream, he basically